But even factoring in that she's a nice-looking lady, I love that the Liv's attacks on conservatives right now are that we're hot and cool.
Earning a hefty six-figure salary, she is not just the face of the president's second term, she's also the voice promising to shake up how the White House communicates.
Let's dive into some serious drama that's got both the media and social platforms buzzing. Imagine this: a young, confident, and unapologetically bold press secretary walks into her first White House briefing, instantly shaking up the room, and within days, she's the center of a media storm that's left everyone reeling. That's exactly what happened when Karoline Leavitt, at just 27 years old, stepped into the spotlight as Donald Trump's new press secretary. And let's just say things got messy real quick, especially when The View decided to weigh in with their usual litany of commentary.
Karoline Leavitt, she's just 27 years old. But boy, was she giving it to the Trump haters in her first White House briefing.
Now, if you've been following The View lately, you know they're no strangers to making headlines for their controversial takes. But this time, they might have bitten off more than they could chew. The chaos began when Leavitt, during her first press briefing, boldly declared an end to funding initiatives tied to what she called wokeness in federal agencies. She didn't hold back, stating there would be no more funding for transgenderism and wokeness across our federal bureaucracy and agencies. This declaration immediately set the tone for what was to come, and let's just say it didn't sit well with Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar.
Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you.
Whoopi, never one to shy away from sharing her opinions, went on a full-blown rant during their show. She accused Leavitt of not understanding the very concept of wokeness, claiming,
without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table.
Whoopi didn't stop there. She launched into a passionate monologue about how wokeness had paved the way for women to break barriers, reminding the audience that women were historically excluded from positions of power. While some might have seen her comments as a history lesson, others viewed it as an attempt to undermine Leavitt's position and perhaps her qualifications. But wait, it gets juicier. Joy Behar, in classic fashion, didn't hold back either. She made what many are calling a downright sexist remark.
I think she's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10.
Yes, you heard that right. Behar reduced Leavitt's groundbreaking appointment to nothing more than her appearance. Social media erupted in outrage, with one viewer summing it up perfectly: if a Republican said anything remotely like that, they would be dragged through the mud. Another chimed in: The View doesn't even know what a woman is. It's fair to say Behar's comment struck a nerve, especially among conservative supporters who saw this as yet another example of the show's hypocrisy when it comes to supporting women. But here's where it gets really interesting. Leavitt didn't just sit back and let the criticism roll in. No, she clapped back hard, using her platform to call out the double standards and hypocrisy of the legacy media. In a fiery response, she pointed out that women like Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg, who claimed to champion women's empowerment, were the first to tear her down when she stepped into a position of power. And honestly, she's got a point. How can you claim to support women breaking glass ceilings while reducing one of the youngest ever White House press secretaries to her looks?
Isn't it rich that The View is saying she got the job based on looks when DEI is all about based on looks?
Leavitt didn't stop there. She addressed Whoopi's comments about wokeness head on, arguing that the term has been twisted into a tool for identity politics rather than genuine progress. Wokeness isn't about empowering women or minorities, she said. It's about pushing an agenda that prioritizes labels over merit. And I'm here to represent all Americans, not just those who fit into a specific narrative. Bold words, right? But that's the kind of energy Leavitt came to the table with, and it's clear she's not backing down anytime soon.
Karoline Leavitt is the press secretary at the White House, doing a great job. Such a great job that the ladies of The View feel the green monster coming upon them.
Leavitt's critique of wokeness didn't just ignite tension with the hosts of The View, it also sent shockwaves across social media, where the term wokeness has become a battleground for cultural and political debates. Supporters of Leavitt applauded her bravery, calling her a voice of reason in a world that they believe has gone too far in prioritizing political correctness over common sense. One commenter wrote, "Finally, someone in the White House who isn't afraid to tell it like it is. We've been waiting for this." Meanwhile, critics accused her of oversimplifying the issue, with one user claiming, "Wokeness is about inclusion and progress, not whatever she's trying to make it out to be." The divide was clear, and Leavitt's words only deepened the fault lines in an already polarized national conversation.
And Karoline Leavitt isn't just making headlines, she's also rewriting history. At 27, the New Hampshire native has become the youngest White House press secretary ever.
But let's not forget the real elephant in the room, the generational clash at play here. At just 27, Leavitt represents a new wave of political leadership, one that's not afraid to challenge the status quo and introduce fresh ideas. This generational shift is a stark contrast to the seasoned panelists of The View, who have long dominated daytime television with their traditional liberal perspectives. It's not just a battle of ideologies, it's a battle of eras, with Leavitt's unapologetic approach colliding head-on with the older, more established voices of the media world. This clash has left many wondering, is this the beginning of a larger generational reckoning in American media and politics? And if so, who will come out on top?
Speaking of Donald Trump, I was stunned and amazed by his new White House spokeswoman today. She's actually the youngest ever in that job.
Leavitt's ability to hold her ground against seasoned media figures like Whoopi and Joy speaks volumes about her confidence and preparation. After all, she didn't just stumble into the White House by accident. Her track record includes high-profile roles in communications and politics, where she proved time and again that she could handle pressure and deliver results. And let's not forget her bold decision to open the White House press briefings to independent media, a move that many see as a direct challenge to the legacy outlets that have dominated the narrative for decades. By giving a voice to non-traditional media, Leavitt is not just shaking up the press room, she's redefining who gets to tell the story. Whether you love her or hate her, it's impossible to deny that she's a force to be reckoned with.
A staunch Trump loyalist and unapologetic Gen Z conservative, Leavitt's sharp rhetoric and bold social media presence have already made waves.
Meanwhile, conservative media had a field day with this whole ordeal. Greg Gutfeld from Fox News couldn't resist throwing his own shade at The View, mocking their apparent inability to handle someone like Leavitt. They love to preach about empowering women, he said, but the moment a conservative woman steps up and succeeds, they lose their minds. And honestly, isn't that the truth? The same people who celebrated other women breaking barriers suddenly seemed uncomfortable when the spotlight wasn't on someone who fit their narrative.
Democrats in the media are now unloading all their nasty attacks on rising Trump White House star and new press secretary, Karoline Leavitt.
But here's the kicker. This isn't just about Leavitt versus The View. This entire saga has sparked a much larger conversation about the state of the media and its role in shaping public opinion. In her first press briefing, Leavitt announced some major changes aimed at holding the press accountable. She unveiled plans to create a new media seat in the briefing room, opening up access to independent journalists, podcasters, and influencers who often get sidelined by traditional outlets. And if that wasn't enough, she also restored press passes for 440 journalists who had theirs revoked under Biden's administration. Talk about shaking up the establishment. Predictably, these changes didn't sit well with the legacy media, who have long enjoyed their monopoly on White House access. Sunny Hostin from The View went so far as to question whether these new media figures would even be qualified to attend briefings, implying that they lacked the journalistic credentials traditionally required. But let's be honest, credentials haven't stopped some legacy media outlets from spreading misinformation in the past, have they? As one fan put it, cancel The View. I can't wait until they are off the air.
They really don't like this woman. She's a good communicator. And so Joy Behar just offered her analysis on why Leavitt was picked for the role.
And speaking of misinformation, Leavitt didn't hold back when calling out the media for their role in pushing narratives that have eroded public trust. For years, legacy media outlets have controlled the conversation, silenced opposition, and shaped public opinion with little to no consequences, she said. But those days are over. Her words struck a chord with many Americans who've grown tired of what they see as biased reporting. One viewer commented, "She's young, but she's sharp. She's exactly what we need to hold the media accountable." But let's circle back to the heart of the drama, The View and their ongoing feud with Leavitt. Many are questioning whether the show has lost its relevance, especially as it continues to alienate viewers with its increasingly partisan takes. Critics argue that the hosts are more interested in tearing down those who don't align with their views than fostering meaningful discussions. And honestly, the ratings speak for themselves. With alternative media on the rise, shows like The View are struggling to maintain their grip on the public's attention.
No, it's not. So first of all, and I have had my objections to the job that Karine Jean-Pierre did, but she worked in politics for 21 years, 5 presidential campaigns, and worked in 2 administrations.
So what's next for Karoline Leavitt? If her first week as press secretary is any indication, she's not going anywhere. She's made it clear that her mission is to bring transparency and accountability back to the White House press room, even if it means ruffling a few feathers along the way. And for The View, well, they might want to rethink their approach if they expect to stay relevant in a media landscape that's rapidly evolving. Now here's the big question. Are we witnessing the beginning of the end for legacy media's dominance? Or will shows like The View find a way to adapt and stay in the game? And what do you think of Karoline Leavitt's bold approach? Is she exactly what the White House needs, or is her strategy too risky? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, stay tuned because this story is far from over.